Hola.
Hola, what's up, dude? How you doing?
Hey, good man. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Not bad. I got Chipotle. I'm doing a coach lesson. Streaming up. Life's pretty good right now. I'm chilling.
Thanks for adjusting the time.
Oh, dude, don't worry about it. That's all good. I do it during my streams anyway. So if you need a little bit of alteration, it literally doesn't bother me at all. That's why I do one a day
Cool,
as
man.
well. All right, dude. Well,
Groovy.
you go and tell me what's going on with your star crafting. What league, what race, and what are you looking to generally focus on overall today?
Yeah. Uh, so I am the Pro Sauce, Diamond 3. Uh, I guess one of the things that I struggle the most is I do kind of like to try more aggressive styles with like harass and kind of just not sitting in the base and stuff. But sometimes if I focus too much on that, then my macro slips and I just get out macroed and I lose the game.
Yeah.
Um, Other things that cause me to lose often are like generally all ins and not being able to read like, oh, this dude is about to like, all in me and I need to prepare kind of thing where it's just like all of a sudden they're at my doorstep. I try to react, but it's just not enough. Um,
Okay.
you know,
Well,
yeah, making better decisions around that.
that sounds good. We can definitely fix your scouting, and you're basically figuring out how to like read a player, learning how to like take little bits of information and figure out what the overall plan of your opponent is.
Yeah,
Like a big help in terms of like getting better at the game because then you actually have a plan about what you're gonna do to follow that up, and then I can like kind of look at your general play style of however you're gonna play, like whatever your general goal is, so we can make that
yeah,
like cleaner because like sometimes people do shit where it's out of order. So I guess if we're gonna talk about a lot about scouting and like reactions and stuff, it probably would work best if we do it through a replay. Um,
okay.
so I don't if you have replays prepared, we can definitely look at those. But if you don't have replays prepared, we can do something else. What are you feeling? Do you want to do replays?
I have replays. Yeah, let me try and find something from like yesterday or the day before. I will say that Terran has been my hardest matchup lately
Sure.
um, because I find them harder to read. Like yesterday, I was like, oh man, he's going double gas. He quickly walled off his main. He's gonna do something shady, and he's gonna like all in me in the next like 2 minutes or something like that. So I spent all my time like preparing for some kind of thing that never happened, and then in the end, he like killed me with like mass battle cruisers or something because it turned into some weird macro game. And so it was just like a really bad read.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Well, I
Let's
mean,
see.
um, generally, for most games, you can kind of like there's like a really core way to play StarCraft 2 nowadays and Legacy of the Void that makes it really easy if you just kind of focus on it. And it's really just getting a build that's efficient to start the game off with right off the bat. That's going to be like a generalized opener for a matchup. So you could have like
Yeah.
not a Z, a PvT build, and then it goes from that into like if you can like not let them take certain amounts of bases. So what I mean by that is if you're doing an all-in build or like a really high pressure build, the goal would be probably never let them have a third base. If you're going to do a build that's more macro focused and it's going to take you to a later stage of the game, the goal would probably be don't try not to let them have a fourth base. And or if your build is going to be going for like supreme in-game death ball for yourself, then it kind of doesn't matter base count because you're the one who's going death ball as well. And death ball is literally just like once you have it, you just become god and you just go push. So really, it like really depends on your on
Yeah.
the overall thing you want to do. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of options.
Yeah. If I can get past the mid game, I'm usually pretty good. Um, if I can get past mid game, but like mid game Zerg or mid game Terran will often just wreck me.
Yeah.
Um, it, But yeah, if I can make it to the late game especially against Terran, where I've got like, oh man, I've got like 4 Colossus and I've got Storm and I've got good upgrades, then I can usually just just truck them.
Yeah. All right. So, and if honestly, if you're feeling pressure to find a replay, I could just literally play you myself in a game too. That would also be fine. Because I don't want to make you like have to like find something on the spur of the moment if you're not prepared for that. Which is, it's all good. There's lots of ways we could do this. Another thing we could do, or another thing we should do, if you get a second, is just send me a message all through BattleNet, and the way you do that is you just open up the Grandmaster ladder list, and you can just right-click my name, and I can tell you how to do that whenever you're ready.
I've got you in my list from the Warcraft 3.
Oh, okay, yeah, perfect then. Okay, so whenever you're ready, but I'm in no rush. It's up to you. Whatever you want to do.
Well, I did find a replay where I did kind of get out macroed and kind of out muscled and stuff by a Terran dude. So
okay.
this replay's pretty good.
Okay, just invite me and we'll start that shit up.
Cool.
Well, a lot of times against Terran, like you can get away with it really hard. Well, I'll just say this. Let me just say this first. What do you prefer against Terran to open? Do you prefer to make Terran slow down because you're aggressive, or do you prefer to play defensive and absorb Terran's bullshit while being greedy? Those are really the two only ways you're going to do it as an opener.
Yeah. So if I see they're going a faster CC, I will put on pressure and screw them up, and that can work out well for me. I would say the majority of my games, I tend to do better if I'm just more macro focused, and I'm just like focusing on getting that Colossus really fast and then following up with Storm and stuff like that.
I would honestly recommend for your opener, make it the same thing every time. Because if you're Diamond and you're making your opener different every game, you're going to have a lot of problems macroing every time because it's going to be so inconsistent.
Okay.
Like, you can transition to something else later on in the mid game if you feel like you need a certain thing, but yeah, for like the development of the build, you probably should do the same thing for at least like the first 5 minutes of the game every time. Which could be aggression or defense. All right, last thing you gotta do is make me lobby host in here before you start the game, and then I'll start it.
Promoted. Congratulations on the promotion.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much.
This was kind of a weird game because he ends up going like mass battle cruiser, but I think that's like a really good example of when I just did not scout enough or mis-scouted or like got too caught up in defense.
Uh-huh.
But you'll see the way it plays out. But yeah, this game was frustrating. I was like, God damn those battle cruisers! Like,
yeah. When BCs come out by then, like if it's like a rush BC, Shield Battery Stalker owns it, and if it's like late game BC, Tempest are amazing against it. But I mean, we'll see when we get there.
Get enough Tempests fast enough.
Okay. So what do you tell me what you think right now about this game, really quick. Like so far.
Let me pull up the units tab.
Do it from your perspective. Don't even have units tab open. Look at your perspective only.
Oh, okay.
And then just like if you were to be playing this game, what do you think? I just want you to think about it for a second, then I'll tell you what I think.
Okay. Like just from my perspective, what I think he's doing.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, he's got 2 gases, so I know he's up to something. He's prioritizing gas for some reason. Like he might end up going like Banshee or a bunch of siege tanks to just all in me or something like that. But usually two refineries is a like big red flag for me.
Yep, I'd agree with you. Like the fact that you've already scouted this, he's got 2 gases already started before the barracks is even done. That's a huge investment. And to saturate those properly, that means he's going to really undersaturate his mineral line, so there's no expansion coming out of this guy anytime soon. I would definitely, if I were you, I would be expecting, like you said, potential of like Cloak Banshee. This could be like, it could be a really quick 1/1/1. It could be really fast Cyclones. It could be like anything that costs a lot of gas, essentially. So
Okay.
a great
Yeah, that makes sense.
a great way to defend that is literally just to get a. I would honestly this is why I think this build is so good for Protoss. A great way to defend this would be just to expand and make a Robo and go for like Stalker Observer. Just like 1 or 2 observers and make stalkers and have a shield battery. And every form of aggression he could throw at you right now would be not that hard to deal with. The only thing you do that's like specific to like reacting further is you can make a sentry second. I think going stalker first is nice because it still could be a reaper. He still could go reaper first. But you could make a stalker first for yourself to counter the potential reaper, and then go into a sentry second, and that sentry second can actually throw scouts at his base, and you can see what the follow-up is before it happens. Because you could actually like scout the tech and shit. We'll see what you do though. But that would be huge.
Yeah.
That, like right now what you're doing where you're scouting around the map, or you're hiding. Okay, that's fine. You're gonna scout him again.
I'm hiding.
Yeah, there's no way he's expanding. I'll just throw it out there. Like if he does, his build is awful. What should be happening from him right now is that he is walling you out of his base with 2 depots, so you won't be able to get back in and scout it again. So I feel like this probe could just easily go back and mine minerals from like your natural, or go saturate the gas in your main. That's being built right now.
Okay. So I kind of like to leave a probe hanging out in case I want to like throw down a proxy pylon or something. Like if he's putting a bunch of kind of pressure on me, sometimes I feel like my only way out is to like run an adept in his base and start messing up his workers or something, so he can't fuel his aggression. So that's kind of why I leave that dude out there, to just have an out.
I feel like that's a little that's that moment where I feel like your build's gonna deviate and it's gonna fuck you over more. That's gonna help you. I know what you're saying, and I get that logic, but I feel like that hurts you more than it helps you. It just sounds awful.
The logic makes sense, but you're totally right, because I feel like every time I try to do that, I end up just losing anyway.
Yeah, like it's like basically what I'm gonna give you an analogy here. The answer I would give you is like someone tells you, okay, you need to back up, and you go, all right, how do I back up? I'm just gonna take 1 or 2 steps backwards, and that's it. Easy as fuck way to do that. But going for a proxy pylon and trying to like counter pressure him while he's pressuring you, it's like someone saying, hey, can you back up? And you're like, yeah, hold on, let me do a backflip really fast. And fucking do like a really fancy way of just doing a simple task. And like it's doing proxy pylon pressure on someone who's pressuring you is going to make the game so fucking chaotic and so much harder to deal with. And in diamond level, 100% you both are going to have a horrible game. If you just macro well defensively and have like shield battery, if he pressures you, you'll be fine. Like you will be totally fine.
Okay.
And it's so much easier to do that.
Yeah, I agree. It's easier to hang out at home.
I want to look at your build really fast. Make sure too, the second your gateway is done, or your core, you start a unit like right away, and I would highly recommend that you don't make an adept. Because think about, why do you make an adept? Like if you really think about your games and you make an adept, what do you normally do with that adept when you make it? Do you go pressure the Terran?
The map and scout and harass.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. You scout and harass the Terran. Do you feel like you can do anything with this game in terms of harassing the Terran? Like, do you feel like it's gonna? Because again, the only reason why you can harass him is if he does stuff at his natural. And
yeah, I guess the only reason why I send an adept out there is to verify that he, wasn't doing, just to see what was going on the other end of the map.
Sure. And like right now,
it would be kind of a waste of the unit.
Yeah, like right now you already do know what he's doing, and all that's going to happen to your adept is it's going to get across the map, and it's going to get stuck outside of a depot wall. And then he's going to have tech, and an adept is actually fucking awful against tech units compared to a stalker. Because if it's air units, adept can't even hit it, and if it's like mech units, an adept is going to get fucking rolled by everything. Like adepts are pretty awful in terms of just straight up brute force to your army. The only time an adept is really not bad is when you're fighting against units that are really squishy to an adept. Like if you can like match the number of adepts to marines, or like maybe hellions, but even hellions can sometimes like fuck adepts over too, because they both kind of kill each other pretty fast. And depending on how much of one side has of that number of unit, it can be kind of scary. But stalkers are they just perform better defensively. So if your plan is to go for a nexus versus a guy who opens up double gas, an adept is like the worst choice you could make, because it's designed for it's just designed to punish greed more than it is to defend tech. And also, you don't make it like right away. You got to really be careful about that. This is the other thing I wanted to say is the second your core is done, you need to chrono boost and make that unit immediately, because if your opponent does go for a Reaper, you're gonna have probe death now if you don't do that. And your core finished at like 210, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure why I did not build something immediately. I don't know why that didn't happen. I usually do that, and yeah, that was annoying.
Yeah,
so
and you built because it actually finished at 213, and you started it like 225, and that's with a chrono boost already on it too. So that's like the unit could already be like popping out like right now, essentially, with a full chrono. So that yeah, it's just gonna make like luckily you haven't lost any probes yet. That's good.
He goofed.
Yeah.
He goofed.
Yeah.
I should have lost like 3 probes.
I agree. I think you should have lost more than that too. But just make sure you always make that unit right away, and then make sure also you just like keep making units too. Like your gateway's idle again ever since that popped out, and it's just chilling. And you haven't even started warp gate. So like your production is definitely lacking here. That's the kind of thing where it doesn't matter what you scout. If you just don't build shit, you're gonna die anyways.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's one of my biggest problems facing the kind of aggressive styles is that I'm missing production.
That's everyone's problem, honestly. Macro is like even for people in Masters League, macro can sometimes be the reason why they're dying. Even in GM, like there's no limit to macro. There's not a single player in the world that can have perfect macro. There's people that can do it pretty well, but nobody does it perfect. So like everybody can improve, because it's something that is like impossible to do perfectly every time.
What do you think about that shield battery?
In your main base, I think it's way too early. And the one in your natural is okay. I don't like as much where it's located. I would honestly rather you locate the shield battery maybe like on the south side, like kind of where the pylon is. I would love it if the battery was like there. And the reason why is because your battery is going to cover your probes easily in your mineral line, but it's not going to do shit for your army if you have to defend your nexus. So what that does now is if you want to stay in range of your shield battery to be healed by it, you have to let the nexus itself fuck up your concave. So like you have like one unit like below the pylon and like one unit above the nexus or something like that, and it's just awkward. Because if you're too far away, if you're like to the left of the nexus, between the nexus and the ramp, you're not going to get healed by the battery. It's too far away.
I think in my mind, I was like, "Oh man, what if he goes Banshees?"
Exactly. It's too early for that.
You know, yeah.
Okay. Also, the thing is too is I feel like you're over influencing your build to counter Banshee, because now you're also opening Phoenix, and Phoenix against a guy who went double gas again. Like for instance, if this guy would have just gone for like a Cyclone push. Phoenix, believe it or not, is actually not the worst against Phoenix, or against like that kind of a push, but I mean, you have one Phoenix and you have one Adept and one Stalker. It's not a lot. If he would have gone for like mass Reapers, let's say he went like 4 racks Reapers, and suddenly a bunch of Reapers show up in your base, I feel like you would die again. Like you're countering the Banshee heavily, and there's other builds that with gas that could just run you over. Your build doesn't really have a lot of versatility to it. Also, investing in a Phoenix too is something I would highly recommend not to do in Diamond, because it's a unit that requires a lot of attention to make it worthwhile. If you just kind of make it and let it chill, it's the worst investment ever. And you're not making probes now too. And what's happening when you're not making probes is, I feel like you're looking at the probe, you're making a pylon, you're using your Adept now. You're still not making probes. Like this is shit that like again, this is when the game becomes way too complicated, and your build is already falling so far behind if you just macro.
Yeah. remembered why I went like Stargate Phoenix. I went Phoenix was like, oh man, like uh, I want to protect against like random drops and stuff coming at me. So I was like, oh, I'll get Phoenix and I can take out the drop ships.
Yeah. I feel
Yeah,
like if you just go like again, I think Stalker Robo for in terms of like learning the matchup better. I think it's just a stronger opener because it's easier. It's 100% easier because like going Phoenix right now. I'll just say this: if this Terran player would have done like let me say it like this because I don't want you to be confused why I'm about to say. If this Terran player goes double gas and you shut down his investment with your Phoenix, and your Phoenix are left over after the fight's over. That's not bad. That's definitely good for you. And then you can then use those Phoenix to further scout him and harass him and be annoying. And that's great. That's wonderful. However, if your Phoenix just sit around and do nothing, and if your opponent does something, let's just say he actually was not going double gas, because I don't know if this is your response to people who go command center first either, or like barracks CC with one gas. Like I don't know how often you go double Phoenix, but I'm just gonna hypothetically say if you did do that, and this guy was going for like a shitload of Marines, like Stimpack Marine medevac, and he ran to your base to the front of your Nexus with like 16 Marines and like 2 medevacs, like in around 5 minutes, which is very possible. It's like a 2-1-1. If he was doing something like that, you would die. And the reason why you would die is because the Phoenix against builds like that, they have to be more aggressive. Like you have to slow his timings down by making him stay defensive. And you need to pick shit apart as well while you're doing it, which is why this opener is not a suitable build for Diamond, because being able to do that is not easy in the first place. Like it's not easy just to like harass and find openings, but also not fucking your macro up while you do that is extremely hard. And like again, like right now you're not building probes again. So the more pressure you put on yourself for like constant builds that require attention from you, or it's just gonna hurt you more than it's gonna help you. And like right now you have 2 stalkers that can defend anything that could kill you in 5 minutes. And that's like nothing. And you have double batteries at your natural. Like it's over investment. 1 battery is enough because of battery overcharge.
Okay.
Now you have 4 Phoenix just chilling.
Yeah, they should have been scouting, and I could have seen the Fusion Core and the Ghost Academy and all the other weird shit he's doing.
And if you just...
But I was super confused to see that expansion. I was like, what the...
Well, I mean, it is pretty late, though. Like, it's not that weird because it's super late. And you're like, you have 5 Phoenix now, and you're supply blocked with the 6th one on the way, and they're just chilling still. Like, this is not how you want to use Phoenix. Again, this is why I recommend not doing this build. And then if you think about this too, here's the crazy part too. If we did the math on your gateways, where right now you have 3 of them up, and you have not obviously had 3 of them ever since the start of the game, but you had like 1 early, you made the other ones a little bit later. But if I were to guess how many stalkers you could have made out of these gates, you have 5 right now. You could have probably had like 12. Just out of the gates when you took them. And in a standard build, you could probably have even more than that if it was like not a gateway opener, or sorry, not a Stargate opener. And right now too, you could also have like a 3rd base already. You could have already had a 3rd base like completed and being saturated, and you could have already had. So you could have had more stalker. You could have had robo units to support it like Colossus already. You could have had a 3rd that's already like got pretty good saturation on it, and you could already be getting ready to take a 4th base against what he's doing. And you could be pure defensive with it. You could have a battery at your bases just like you do, and stuff like that. Like a great way to deal with people who pressure you. Here's an interesting idea. You could do a build that goes with triple observer, like right away with stalkers, and you can put an observer on the north side of the fog of your natural, and you can put another observer on the other side of the fog of the other side of your base, so like the left side of your main. And then once you take a 3rd base, move it to the left side of your 3rd, so you have like windows of reaction before the Terran gets to you. Because I think what I'm seeing right now is paranoia of air pressure from Terran. That's all I see, and it's slowing you down like fucking crazy.
Yeah, dude.
Because like your Phoenix are still defensive. You have 6 of them now, and they're chilling.
Yeah.
Like this is not the unit to make for sure. And you have it all in 1 control group right now. It looks like, it means your stalkers are going to compromise themselves too for this attack. Like this should not be. Phoenix are not a timing based unit. if that's what's about to happen here.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. All right, and now the Terran's actually got a third as well. He's actually got a third faster than you do, and he opened up double gas. So that is like the clear definition of paranoia right there. This dude's build, for him to be going for double gas and then he just plays defensive macro, that is inefficient as fuck. And then, so you should have had the lead there, but because you went for overly defensive delayed macro with going Nexus early, like you actually ended up behind in the grand scheme of things. Like you have less probes, you have less bases, and it also Terran has mules, so that's a double negative right there. That means Terran's way ahead of you in economy, and he opened for tech, like double gas, triple starport. Oh, like you see that right there? What's happening? Like, look at your natural for a second. So, I mean, holy, this game is a mess. This game is nuking you and shit. Holy fuck. This is crazy. But, like, I'm glad you overcharged the battery. Because, look at that battlecruiser's kills right now. And let's actually go back and watch the BC. So, BC arrives. It's got 0 kills so far. It starts trying to shoot your probes. Look at that battery do work. Nothing even dies.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, shit starts dying because the battery is out of energy. But you can overcharge that battery, and it buys you another 14 seconds of nothing dying. So, and then you can do the same thing to a Banshee. So, a Banshee will actually kill something like a probe a little bit over time. Because the Banshee actually does 24 damage per shot, and it's more than total shields of a probe has. So every time a Banshee shoots, a probe will actually take 4 real damage. So it takes 5 hits for a probe to die to a Banshee, no matter what, even if a battery's healing it. Which is still, it takes fucking forever to do that. If you just had Stalkers defending this would be, and you warp in Stalkers. So like, if we're talking air defense, that's like paranoia here. Battery overcharge plus some Stalkers, and you shut the air down anyways, either way. So, like the paranoia of drops and the paranoia of Banshees and battlecruisers, anything that comes out of the starport is just, it's just a bit much.
Okay.
Yeah, like it's not like warranted, I would say. Because look at this, like you have nothing here. You warp in a few Stalkers, and what happens to the battlecruiser? It gets shut down. It has to leave now. Now, if you don't respond to the nuke, it's gonna fuck you. Which it looks like it will. I mean, yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, I didn't hear it because I didn't have headphones on.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
But like the nuke is super random. We're not going to talk about how to deal with a nuke because I feel like that's 1 in like 500 games that's going to happen to you.
This guy's crazy.
Yeah. So, but generally speaking, again, like we're talking supplies right now, okay? And I know you just lost some units to the nuke and all that shit. But if we're talking about overall supply of what you could have at like, we'll talk about it right before the nuke hits you because we'll make it really fair here. Just before the nuke hits, you are at 93 supply at 8 minutes. Let's actually, I'm gonna give you an example build after this of something I think you could use, but I'm gonna write down 8, 18, 93 supply, and at this point in time you have 47 workers. Okay, and then that'll be our quota. All right, and so far this game, nothing's really happened. You ran to his base, you killed 1 Widow Mine, you killed a siege tank on the high ground, and you killed like a couple depots in front of his wall, and that's it so far. And your base, he hasn't killed shit yet, really. But now the nuke hits you, and now, you know, obviously this is now painful because you just lost a bunch of probes. You just lost, what, like probably like 8 probes to that nuke only. Like you've lost 11 so far in total. And then, you know, you lost some Phoenix as well. That big investment of Phoenix, and the other Phoenix that didn't die are like on the verge of death as well. So I mean, that was a painful nuke. But the point I'm trying to make here is your build has been opened up with the focus of doing pressure, and there really hasn't been any. And your Stalkers arrive at his base, and you're going to start trying to do something, but now 2 battlecruisers are probably going to be able to zone that out, especially with another tank. So this is a numbers game. It's not, You shouldn't look at that situation and go, well, fuck, stalkers suck against BCs. You should look at that and go, okay, well, 5 stalkers suck against 2 BCs. Because that's horrible for Protoss. That means the Protoss has not macroed at all. At 8 minutes and 47 seconds, your supply, if you just played defensive macro, could easily be like 150 or something. Like, it could be so much more than it is right now. And then he's going crazy turrets. Like, this is I would say the problem of like just usually what it looks like in like Diamond League and, you know, Platinum and whatever. Even sometimes in Masters, where players just play overly defensive. They play way too paranoid, and like 4 turrets at his natural is like fucking excessive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like, yeah, it's just a lot. Like, that's opportunity for you to take the lead, basically. But like, look at your third base. Your third base has 5 probes on it, and it's 10 minutes plus in the game right now. Like, that is super late on the saturation.
They're all hanging out at the main.
Yeah, indeed. Like, what I'm saying right now, by 10 minutes, you could have like 5 bases as well already. Like, you should, like, even if he goes double gas, you totally should. There's no reason not to. That's why I want you to have like a build that's not. This is exactly why I don't want you to do a build that's like, oh, I'm gonna rotate and transition to everything my opponent does. That is the wrong way to play StarCraft. That is, like, for what you're doing, because what you're doing is not a standard game right now. That does happen at high level play. We're talking like pro level play, like shit you would see in a tournament being casted. And the reason why that is because both of those players can play efficient macro styles of whatever they're doing. What you're doing right now and what your opponent's doing right now, this is not efficient macro. So the game, if either one of you just played efficient macro, you would kill the other one. That's just what would happen. Because one of you could be maxed out right now at almost 11 minutes. Easily, one of you, even if he goes for like tech, either one of you could be maxed right now. But the reason why you're not is because you both are sitting in the 50 range of workers forever. And now more BCs. And one great way to deal with BCs early on like this, which is what I like. I know you're making Tempest, which is great. I do think Tempest can beat it, but an easy way to deal with BCs when they're in low numbers, because this is low number BC. BC doesn't really get threatening until it's like around like 15 or like 14, 13, like double digits at the very least. Well, you could just have Blink. If you just had Blink right now, you could shut down these BCs so fucking hard, because all your stalkers, if they blink into a BC, this many stalkers, like we're talking like around 20, you could practically one-shot a BC.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to say a lot more about this, but I feel like this is literally it's just a macro problem. It really is.
Yeah, it just gets crazier and messier from here on out. Like, yeah. He does his little battle cruiser dance everywhere. Like, I rebuild that Nexus like 2 more times. It's like there's nukes and BCs everywhere.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely an annoying game for you to deal with. But the biggest problem is the Terran actually did hit a decent worker count. Granted, he did it really late, but you're like, I know you've lost probes here and there, but you're still on the 50 range of workers. Like, you've been here forever, which is,
yeah.
This is definitely gonna fuck you over all game, because it just means that you're never gonna develop a bank, you're never gonna max, and Terran will max and will develop a bank, and then even if you win a fight, he'll be able to remax and then beat you with the second army. And now the Terran's taking more expansions like crazy with just tons of turrets and PFs. So it's just a problem of like pacing now, where Terran is now on 6 bases and you're on 5. And now he's on 7 and you're on 5. And he's also making like 8 command centers in the middle of the map for just more orbitals. Like, this is getting out of hand. And it's because you're playing very passive. And the reason why you feel like you have to play passive is because you feel like you can't, like, you feel like you're still in the build phase for way too long. Because I guarantee if you were maxed a long time ago, you would not be so passive. You would be like, I feel like I could definitely attack. And do shit like that. Like, you would definitely feel like you get more done. So, yeah, you definitely want to make sure you be a little bit more assertive about doing things. Because at this point, like, this is now the double-digit BC count I was talking about that actually is threatening. And this would mean the way to deal with this better would be you'd probably want to have an army that's almost pure Tempest. Almost pure Tempest. And a great way to follow that up would be have a bunch of gateways. Like, we're talking like 15 gates or something, or like 14 gates at least. Something around there, like a large gateway count yourself. So that when you take a fight with the BCs, you can kill a lot of them. And if you kill them all, that'd be wonderful. But there's no guarantee that that's going to happen because mass BCs should actually win the fight against mass Tempest because they're faster. And Tempest, like BCs are faster than Tempest. And Tempest can't kill all the BCs before they get on top of them. So if the BCs were literally just to teleport in your face and then fly at you, you would kill a lot of the BCs, but the Tempest would ultimately die in the end. Like, they would actually get run down and die because there's too many BCs. Then what you could do, if you have a lot of gateways, is you could just do like 2 warp-in rounds of Stalkers. Like, do 1 warp-in round as you lose like your first like 5 Tempest, and then do another warp-in round as the last Tempest die, and suddenly now you have like 25 to like 30 Stalkers. And then you could kill the last like maybe like 5 BCs that are left over at the end of that fight with like 30 Stalkers. So, I mean, that's not required exactly to go like that, but that is definitely something you could do against something like this, but you can't do that if you don't have enough money to do that, which is your problem.
Yeah. Money problems.
Yeah. Because, like, look at you just started making probes again, which is good. But now you finally broke into the 60 threshold, and we're at like 18 minutes, though. So this is like fucking rough.
Yeah. I feel like I chose my messiest game of the past week.
No, you're totally. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's just like I just want you to I want to make sure that though, like I'm actually glad you did this one because the messier the game, the better for learning. And you know, I don't want you to feel too bad about like like I'm trying to like really fucking read me here on the replay or something like that. It's just there are practical purposes for things to do, like for things to be happening in a certain way. And in StarCraft 2, when you make a harass unit, and if it doesn't fucking do anything, which is, it seems like that's what your go-to is a lot. Like you went for Phoenix and you were talking about the proxy pylon, how you like to do that as well, and how you like to throw fucking adepts at people, and how you still open adept this game. Like none of it makes sense for the purpose of actually just developing a good macro game. And what is your game ultimately turning into? A macro game. So you should definitely focus more on the macro side of things rather than the harassment side of things, because the core concept of harassment is the Terran would never even be in a situation like this if you really did that playstyle. He would never be like, he would be the one. You might have a lower worker count, or you guaranteed would have a lower worker count if you played a harass style opposed to if you played a macro style. But so would the Terran. The Terran, like this game would be like a situation where you would not have killed 7 workers. You would have killed 70 workers, or like you would have killed 45, or like a large number. You would have done lots more damage to his base if you really truly played a harass style. But you like going for like 1 or 2 units, like going for like 1 or 2 adepts and harassing with that, and then making 1 round of Phoenix early on for like 5 Phoenix or 6 Phoenix and sitting there, and then trying to do Phoenix with a timing that is not harass style. Like it's just too passive, and you allow your opponent to just like set up defense and just run you over.
Yeah, I know that totally makes sense. I think that answers one of my long-lasting questions of like, why do I always lose when I go to Stargate?
Yeah, no, you have to be way more aggressive than that. Like
yeah,
this is a good way to explain it, because it's not just Phoenix that work like this. Like Phoenix, Mutas, Banshees, Liberators, fucking Void Rays, anything that's not Death Ball works like this. And what they do is that unit that you invest into it has the potential to kill more than it costs. And it's shitty until that happens. That's truly what it is. Like if I make 1,000 gas, or we'll say like 2,000 resources of Mutalisk, and I just play defensive with it for Zerg, that's fucking bad, because 2,000 of resources investment of Mutas is not going to beat an army that can fight back. Like if I fight against an army that's like Marines, that's the same investment. Or if I fight an army that's like you know, Thors, that's the same investment, or whatever, Widow Mines and fucking Bio, or if I'm playing against Protoss, if I fight against like Stalker, Archon, Phoenix, Tempest, mutas are gonna like trade like shit. If I fight armies that are equivalent investment, just like if you're Protoss and you go Mass Phoenix and you fight against Hydras of the same investment, or you fight against Marines of the same investment, or anything like Stalkers of the same investment, usually you're gonna get fucked, like by the larger number unit, because what are Phoenix? They're expensive, and they need the way they need to pay for themselves is through their mobility and their ability to harass. And that's that again. All those units that are air units like this that are really bad in mass number in terms of like actually fighting the army, but they're only good if you use them strategically. Like you like do like a surgical strike on something, and like suddenly, wow, okay, that was good. Like if you pick up a bunch of tech units with your Phoenix or something like that, sure, that can work really well. But if you're just having the Phoenix just straight up standalone, that's your full fucking army you're making. That there's nothing really else supporting that. It's just really Phoenix. They're gonna get owned by a lot of things. And if you know, so that's just not worth what they invest. It's not worth the investment you're putting into them unless they kill more than they cost, which means you need to be active with them for more than just one fight. You need to be active with them for the last like 5 minutes. So that's why that unit works like that. So if you're going Stargate Phoenix, and other races have the same thing, like I said, and it's just it has to more than like double pay for itself in damage for it to be worthwhile. Yeah, now at this point, it's just a situation of
Team me OI's ViBE.
Oh my fucking god, dude! Jamaica. No, it wasn't you. I just got a $200 donation from Jamaican Benji. What the fuck?
Oh, okay.
Dude,
Nice.
Yeah, Jamaican Benji. What the fuck, man? Thank you so much for the 200. Normally, I don't really deviate from coaching lessons, but that was huge. Holy shit! Thank you, man. Much appreciated. It's fucking massive. Wow. Okay. But yeah, like it's what's it called? Sorry, I got distracted from that. It's like you're dead already, but it's really just a situation of yeah, like your economy has been fucked all game through yourself and also now through your opponent, and it's yeah. I mean, you're not gonna ever come back from this. This is just it's just death. So what I kind of want to do for you is I want to give you a build that I think will... You can tell me if this sounds good, okay? I want to give you a build that can do standard openers that are solid, just a solid way to like play the overall matchup, and then it gives you a good control way to expand and play macro, and then it gives you a way to transition from that into Deathball with Stargate.
Okay.
And it's literally, if the game doesn't end through your mid game, it can end through in game with literally just fucking A-moving your opponent.
You said with Stargate?
Yeah, no, it's not opening Stargate, it transitions to Stargate later.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I did that in a game pretty recently where things just got late game and I went Stargate and won. Typically like when I win against Terran, it is usually Colossus Storm Gateway stuff. This Stargate play was a little bit of a like, oh, maybe I'll try something different, because I had just lost a couple of games to some like all-ins and stuff. I'm like, maybe I need to change it up and I'll try it.
Sure.
Some Stargate to counter the drops and the other stuff. But yeah, I mean, I do like the Sky Toss late game against Terran. I think it works. You know, it's a little less intense, less intense than the, you know.
I definitely think you can still go Stargate later on, but just opening Stargate makes no sense unless you're really active with it.
Yeah.
So opening Robo, I would highly recommend that for you to just be more.
Yeah, that's what wins me games is opening Robo and getting. I usually do 1 gate Robo. If it's a normal ass game and there's no crazy stuff going on, I usually open 1 gate Robo, 1 Observer, follow with an Immortal, and whatever.
Here, I got here. Leave that game. Leave the replay, and I'll make a game for you, and I'll give you a build. And the pacing we're gonna look at will be. This is before aggression happened. Okay, this is why I wrote this down. You're at 8 minutes and 18 seconds was before anything really happened, and finally, because it was like a Reaper Scout, and that was
forever.
it. And you were at 93 supply, and you were at 47 workers at 8:18. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll come back to that. We'll harken back to that throughout this. But you'll see. I feel like you'll see the difference. It's gonna be fucking nuts. And this is something that's not even like gonna be like, okay, you're gonna need to practice this for months, and it's gonna be really hard for you to be able to do this. I think you could do this like today if you just focus this way on it. And I might even get attacked before that by a little bit of a timing. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna shut everything down, no problem, because this is, and so would you if you do what I'm about to do here. This is gonna give you so many fucking units that every type of harassment is gonna feel like a joke to deal with. In Diamond.
Harassment really screws me up. I feel like it's just way too late by the time I see it, and then things just get chaotic.
Yeah, well, it's just, you're making the game more complicated than it has to be. That's where I was giving that backflip analogy earlier.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. I have done that in other practices as well.
Yeah. Like
it's a thing. It's a thing I do. I overcomplicate.
Sure. Yeah. It's just like the fundamental aspect of the game of macro is really, like if you can really just full on slam that out and do it as well as you can, the game will feel easy. Like the game will actually feel so much easier, where it won't be like, oh, how do you deal with PCs? How do you deal with this? How do you deal with that? Everything will be like, well, I just have more shit, so I just win anyways. And then once you can actually play the game that way, and it's not like, well, you're just really far behind for no reason. If you can consistently play the game at a high level macro element, then you can actually start thinking about what actually beats what. But more shit beats less shit, and it's the simple rule of life in StarCraft. And if you just don't have shit, you'll lose. You'll look at the game wrong and be like, wait, what? Stalkers lose to BCs? Okay, I think I need to make like something else now, or Stalkers can't beat Banshees or what? Like, you know what I mean? Like Stalkers don't beat everything tech wise from Terran early on, especially if we're talking Diamond League.
Yeah. That or Cyberpunk scares me. I've done that, like, I sprinkle that sometimes, but yeah, that is scary. Yeah, no, that makes sense though. I keep kind of trying to chase these silver bullets where it's like, oh, well, like, this beats this kind of harass and this beats that kind of harass. You're just like trying to like chase that.
Yeah, that's how a lot of people think about the game too.
Yeah.
So it's just like a misconception, but like it's something that's easy to fix if you just like really start respecting the rule of macro, and then you're like suddenly everything feels better. And it also with this build too, the last thing I saw in your build is you didn't scout him at all. Like you never made the sentry to scout, so it was kind of one of those things where it was a little bit scary for you because now you don't really know what's going on. So now you're over paranoid dealing with everything, where you're like, it could be this, it could be that, it could be this, it could be that. Like how you're like, well, it could be drops, it could be banshees. It's just, if you actually have like a follow-up scout of any kind, it makes everything easy to read.
Yeah, I gotta keep making that sentry. I feel like I tend to only make sentries in like, PvP and PvZ, but I need to start doing that in my Terran games.
Yeah, it's just one as well. It's not mass sentries either. It's just the one for the scout.
Yeah.
And then if you haven't scouted, like let's say the guy shows up with a bio timing, you have Guardian Shield, which is super good.
Okay.
All right, and now we're just honestly just macroing up. We're nothing crazy. We're making Stalker Sentry. We can make our battery now at our natural. This is good for, I would say not so much for Banshee. And look, you can see where I placed it as well, so I can actually be healed if I'm standing in front of my Nexus. It's not so much for Banshee. It's more for like people who do Hellion Harass.
Yeah, I've been screwed by Hellion Harass a few times.
Yeah. Okay, and now so ideally the quota would be you want to have 3 units pop out of the gateway before your warp gate's done, and then as soon as your warp gate's done, you can now, you know, double warp in. And we get like a little bit of a scout on his base. You can like look at that and try to read whatever you think that's going to be. Maybe you physically see exactly what it is, or you just try to like get an understanding of what it looks like it will be, either way. We can take our 3rd base around the time when our natural has like mostly saturated mineral line, or like mostly saturated full base of that whole area.
Yeah.
And we're gonna make 3 observers. So we can put the 1 observer like up here. I'm putting it north of my base. We can put our 2nd observer to the left of my 3rd, and you put it on oversight mode. And then now we can start making Colossus with after our 3rd observer can roam with our stalkers. And now we can start just going Colossus, and we're already saturating a 3rd base. And then now once we have a 3rd base being saturated, we can go into like more tech and stuff like that. Like we can actually afford it. So you can throw down your council, you can throw down like double forge while making stalkers and shit.
Okay. And you're chronoing stuff out of the window right now?
So here's how the chronos went. I went first chrono on the Nexus after the first pylon, 2nd chrono on the Nexus again after the 2nd pylon, and I also chronoed the gateway once for the stalker. After that, I only chronoed probes until my robo was done, and then I chronoed out observers while I started a robo bay, and then I've been chronoing out Colossus ever since the robo bay. So I chronoed out 3 observers, and now I'm chronoing out Colossus until I have about 2 Colossus, I would say. And then once you have like 2 Colossus, you can go, you can then switch your chronos over to upgrades and just do forge upgrades and council.
What are you gonna do with thermal lance?
I'm gonna do it like as soon as I can afford it. It's less priority, but it's when you can afford it, basically. Like you want to make sure you make.
Oh, okay.
You want to make sure you make him blink as a priority first, and then you can get thermal lance after.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I always try to get out thermal lance as soon as I can, and I usually chrono the shit out of it.
I would say thermal lance is better for aggression. It's still good no matter what, but I would say it's better for aggression because if you're gonna be defensive anyways, you're gonna be backing up the shield batteries, and if he tries to dive into you, like you'll be kiting backwards, and the range won't really matter as much. Like you should have batteries at every base as well. Around this time, like once you have like your 3rd saturated and set up, you should add a battery to your main and your 3rd. And then you can take your 4th base now, and you can just literally keep going with your macro. And now you can also start in a few more gates, because at this point now you're starting to get a lot of money. And we're still upgrading our forges with our chronos, or spinning our chronos on our forges rather.
Okay.
And we're going up to 6 gateways. And I'm gonna pause the game in a second with or not in a second, but at 8:18 I'm just gonna pause it and we're gonna compare. That's all I want to do is compare supply, because I've already passed your 8:18 mark. So it's gonna get nuts. Like once we actually get to 8:18, what we have by then.
Yeah.
We're actually supply blocked. It's okay, whatever. Shit happens. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
Keep chronoing. You can go into a Templar Archives and get ready to make Storm. We're getting attacked. Pop a Guardian Shield. And then once you have like 4 Colossus, I would say you could probably stop. That's like a pretty good, healthy number to have. You start your 2/2 upgrades.
Does it ever make sense to go charge first?
No.
Instead of
I would
blink?
say no. Nope. If you're especially if you're paranoid about drops, banshees, anything like that, definitely do not get charged first.
Okay.
Because the whole point of this build is you're defending yourself against with shield batteries anyways. You're not actually trying to push him. And charge is better if you're gonna like push his base or something like that. Like if you're like gonna walk out of your base and be more aggressive. Okay, actually just pause it right now. Oh, pause. So we're at 8:22. I went over by 4 seconds. I got I forgot about the time for a second. But at 8:22, I think I have like 84 probes right now, 85 probes. I have to, when I unpause it, we can look at that. But the supply,
85, yeah.
Okay, yeah, the supply right now is 156 for me Protoss at the moment, and in the game that we just observed, the replay that we just had, you were at 93 supply at this point in time.
Yeah.
So we're like, this is, we're not gonna, it's not really double, but it's a fuckload higher. We're like 60 to about 60 supply higher in this game, and we have almost double the worker count because the worker unit at that point in time was 47. So it's a pretty big deal, and if you can just play a macro game like looks like this, if your opponent was, you know, right now, because what did he have right now when he hit you? He had a ghost and 1 battlecruiser that attacked you. That was it. And it, like, look, how many stalkers do I have? I probably have, like, I would guess like 18. I can't see it because I'm paused, but you can see it because you're a referee, I think.
I can see it. Yeah, it's 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's 5 in production as well, though, right?
Oh yes.
Yeah. So
yes.
it'll be 17 then. There's 17 stalkers, and 17 stalkers can like 2-shot 1 BC. So if I have blink and I just blink under a BC, shot, it's dead. It just dies.
Mm-hmm.
So this kind of a build is exactly what I want you to do. This is just a great build. Like, again, I'm just trying to reiterate that it's super good for learning. And it's not just like learning how to play StarCraft. It's learning how to actually do proper macro. Because if your opponent does something awkward and it's inefficient as fuck, even if you do the wrong thing at a higher level, where let's just say hypothetically, I'm gonna explain this in a way that I hope will make sense. Even if stalkers were not the counter to BCs, let's just say it was like stalkers are scissors and BCs are rock, and like rock paper scissors, and BCs just hard counter stalker. Let's just say that's what it was. You still would beat the counter to your unit. If the BC was the rock and your stalker was a scissor, you would still beat a fucking rock with a pair of scissors, because it's not 1 rock versus 1 pair of scissors. It's like 10 fucking pairs of scissors versus 1 rock. So if something counters you, you counter it again, even though it's supposed to counter you. It's just that you have double their supply, or like almost triple their supply, because that's what happens when your opponents play inefficient in this game. Is they're on like 75 supply, doing some weird fucking build with like 7 turrets in their base and 2 planetary fortresses, and they have a BC, and you're like on fucking 80 probes already with 20 fucking stalkers or 18 stalkers, whatever, and you have so much more production than they do and so much more supply than they do, and they're like, well, I'm supposed to win now because Stalker's supposed to kill, or BC is supposed to kill Stalker, but you're like, but I have, 50 supply of Stalker and you have 12 supply of BC, so it doesn't matter. That's literally how the game works. And if you can't do that, that's when you shouldn't be trying to incorporate aggression and like harassment builds and shit like that. That's when it just falls apart massively.
Yeah.
All right. So I can't resume the game. You have to resume it because you're a referee. So whenever you're ready, I'll finish off. I just want to get to max, and then I'll show you what you can do at max, and then we'll be good. All right. So we can start. We have charge. We have storm. We have 2-2 going up right now. You can start making observers again once you have 4 Colossus, and I would say at this point now you probably want to go back into making zealots because you're getting charged now, and you have a really healthy number of stalkers, so you don't really need to go crazy on that anymore. You could take another base. It doesn't really matter where you take it. Just we'll take it at the base above my natural. Because the reason why we're taking another base is because we have all of our probes that we need, and we're fully saturated in all of our bases, and our 4th base is even a little bit oversaturated, so we definitely need to take another base now. Which is totally good. And you can start setting observers.
Before you go max, can I just grab a glass of water real quick?
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
Thanks.
Yeah. Chat, how you doing? What's up, chat? What up, chat? How you doing, boys? Yo, Jamaica, thank you so much again, man, for the 200. That's fucking fat. And I know that's for coaching. We'll schedule some stuff. We'll talk about it. But much love, dude. What's up, Theory? What up, dude? Guys, I have a huge headache right now. Holy fuck. Ugh. Jamaican, if you have to go as well before I'm done with this, you can just send me an email, and I can we'll talk through an email. But if you're gonna be around after I'm done with this, which is probably gonna end, we're probably gonna end in like the next 15 minutes or so. If you're still here, we can talk about it then. I can give you ideas on how to do it, but sending me an email is gonna be what you're gonna do either way, just to like schedule it. I just want to know what we'll just get down to the nitty gritty specifics. And if you don't know the email, this is what it is right here. Good day. Good day.
Thanks. Sorry about that.
No, you're all good, dude. No worries. Whenever you're ready, resume it up, and I'm good to
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, go.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, so now we got charge lots. We got stalkers with blink. This makes our life super easy to defend ourselves properly. And we're about to be 2-2. And now what we can do finally is we can add a group of storm, like a group of Templar. And yeah, we can go for a timing. This doesn't have to always end the game. It might. It doesn't have to. But one thing we can do now, once you get to a point where you're literally like one more round of our units here, of our like zealots we're gonna make, and we're gonna be maxed. You can basically what we're gonna do now is we're gonna add in more gateways. Oh, by the way, the pain user, thank you very much for the raid. Much love, dude. You can add in more gates to keep increasing the amount of ability to remax over and over and over. And at this point now, I would say you should do this. Go to 3-3 on your forges, double chrono boost that, get +1 weapons on your cybercore, chrono boost that, and start a Stargate. Just one Stargate. That's all you gotta do. And then while you're harassing, if shit dies, you remake it, whatever you need to do. Again, this may or may not end the game.
Right.
If you don't end the game with this, if like let's just say your army takes some fucking damage, and you have to like back off, what you can do then is you can go from once your one Stargate is done, you can go to your main base or wherever the fuck you want to put it, add on a fleet beacon, and add on like 3 more Stargates.
Okay.
Add on like 3 more. So we go into, this is what is going to be our Stargate tradition, so that we can go into, basically carriers is what we're gonna have you do. Carriers is so fucking good for late game transitions against Terran. It's much better than Tempest. Tempest are good against BCs, but Tempest, that's pretty much it. Like, if they're going like mech specifically, that's when Tempest are good.
Yeah.
But if it's like standard Terran, most of the time, like you want to go carrier. It's so solid, and you just you just replace army into carrier. That's the whole point. You just slowly,
so you want to trade out and then replace.
You don't want, like, ideally, if you're gonna take a fight that looks like you're gonna lose your whole army, don't commit to it fully. Be like, let's throw everything away. Like, take what you can. Like, throw some storms out there, AOE the fuck out of his army, back off if you need to. Don't feel like you have to end the game right now, because you don't.
Yeah.
This style has transitions that go all the way to death ball, and once you get to a point where you can actually go death ball, which is not what you have right now. This is just high pressure. This is not death ball. Once you get to a point where you can start going mass carrier, then that's death ball. And you would not want to attack with carriers either until you have like at least like 10 of them. So once you start going carrier, you would like slowly lose your gateway units, slowly rebuild into carrier, and once you have 10 plus, then you can start being a lot more aggressive with them.
Yeah.
That's literally the whole build. That's just how it goes. And you'll be 3, so and then you can also make more zealots if you need to, whatever, if you want to support it, your army with that. If you don't have enough carrier yet and you need the units now, or you want to do a run by or some shit, that's fine. But ultimately you're going to be going to 3-3 ground units on forges. You're going to be getting weapon upgrades on the cyber course. You're going to eventually get level 3 weapons on carrier. Once you get 3-3 forges, you can start upgrading shields too on the forge, so you can get shield upgrade as well. And it just turns into mass carriers. And that's just it. That's all it is. That's the whole build.
Groovy.
How you feel about it? How you feeling?
Yeah, that's cool. That makes a lot of sense. Because I feel like if... a lot of the time I will get to this point in the game where I have like a composition like you have here, and I will win. But if I don't win, I end up losing the game because I just keep trying to replace that shit, and then like Templars need more energy and all that. It just takes. I just basically get run over by a bunch of bio because I'm not teching up to anything stronger than that. So yeah, I like that transition.
Yeah, no,
into the Sky Toss.
It just gives you options.
Yeah.
And it's the biggest thing of all that the point I was stressing earlier on, and I harkened back on it a few times, is it really just makes your overall gameplay so much stronger because A Protoss who has 150 supply of Stalkers is much more threatening at 8 minutes than a Protoss who has like 80 supply of some Phoenix at the same time.
Yeah.
Like it's just difference of power, and
Yeah.
you're like, if you play this kind of a style as an opener, like I'm not saying never go Phoenix. You can still do it if you want to have fun and do it every once in a while. That's fine. Or if you get really good at StarCraft and you feel like you can just crush a macro game and it's not something that like falls apart for you, you can go back into then trying to open with Phoenix and do styles like that.
Okay.
So it's not something
Sure.
you should never do. It's like if you're a higher level player, you totally can handle it. It's just you got to realize though, if you do open up with something that is weak in terms of an army but is strong in terms of harass, you need a harass.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what a Phoenix is. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what adepts are.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I kind of just I don't think I realized that I was, wasting a lot of that, a lot of that efficiency there.
Yeah. Well, man.
It's kind of like the same thing with my Warcraft 3 game where I did not realize how much time I was losing on the creeping with my heroes until you kind of pointed it out. I was like, oh shit, I'm like 2 levels behind this dude.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Like you got to like literally time is a resource in RTS in general that people don't really pay attention to, but it's like the most important one because it's the standard of what is good and bad.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, any final questions about anything before we wrap up?
No, man. I think that's good. I think that makes a lot of sense, and that does explain why often when I do Stargate openers, I will lose the game, even if it looks like I'm, doing well in the beginning. I just end up losing, and I'm like, how the fuck is this happening?
Yeah.
But yeah, that makes
sure.
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm just not, not being efficient with those units.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
Yeah, I like this. I like this build. Yeah.
yeah, I would definitely say save the replay if you haven't done it already, just so you don't lose it. And then also on top of that, I'll send you the VOD just like I did with the Warcraft one. I'll send it to you by probably tomorrow, so you can always come back and watch it again if there's points you wanted to hear again or you missed. So you have access to that too. All right, dude.
Cool, man.
Have a good rest of your
Yeah,
day.
thanks.
Yo, thank you, man. Thank you, dude. I appreciate the Warcraft lesson and now the StarCraft lesson.
Yeah, man. I'll catch you next time after I've made some progress and practiced up and all that stuff.
All right, dude. Sounds good. Good luck, and I'll talk to you next time, dude.
Word.
All right, see you, man.
See ya.
All right, guys. Boom. That has been another coaching lesson with our boy, Mtwags. What's his name in StarCraft? He has a different name everywhere. His banana. Okay. Takaya. Yo, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Much love. I hope it helps. And guys who are watching, if you guys enjoyed it, go check out more stuff on YouTube as well if you're looking for more too. I always say it. But there's plenty of it out there. Tons of coaching, tons of replay analysis, tons of Bronze GM stuff. So thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. And until then, good luck in your own games. And peace out, guys.